Morning, y'all. Rob the American here. All right, folks, third time's a charm, we hope. We are heading back to see our good pal Mike, who has the ultimate private Rolex collection. And this time we're going to be talking about arguably the most popular of all the Rolexes, and that's the Cosmograph Daytona. Well, that probably, and along with the GMT Master 2, are impossible to get. And if you don't believe me, I dare you to walk into any authorized Rolex dealer and ask for a stainless steel Daytona and see what happens. Anyway, he's going to tell us about its history and its iconic status and all of the above. So let's get over there. All right, y'all, guess where we are? You recognize his face, and we are back one more time. Mike, thank you so much for having me.
Rob, once again, you're back. You've come back for another installment.
I'm like fungus. Just when you think you're rid of it, it comes back again.
I'm not going to call you fungus, but
listen, I've been called a lot worse. So, all right. So, what's our focus today?
Today, I wanted to talk about some of the Rolex Daytona watches that I've had in my collection. I never really regarded myself as being a Daytona collector. They didn't really fit in with the watches that I had, although I had vintage Rolex sports watches. But I think in the first video that we did, I said that I never really wanted to have a Rolex Daytona. I chose a Datejust in preference to this.
Oh, that's right. That was
watch.
when you turned 18.
When I turned 18.
Y'all should definitely check out that first video when you share the story of how you got the two-tone Datejust.
And I took the Datejust over one of these watches, but obviously I've sort of made up for it since. But the first Daytona that I bought for my collection was actually this one here.
Okay.
This one is a reference 6265. It's a stainless steel manual winding Daytona.
6265.
6265. So this one has the calibrated stainless steel bezel with the chronograph markings around it.
What year?
This one, I will have to check on my list here. This one dates back to 1972.
Okay.
I bought this watch around about 20 years ago from the original owner. And it sort of ticks the box on having a Daytona in my collection. My collection at that stage was mainly focused on the classic Rolex sports watches, the divers watches, the GMT Master, the Explorers. But this was the Daytona for the collection. I was really happy with this watch. I very much enjoy it to this day. I have got the original bracelet, which is the folded link bracelet, but I put it onto a solid link Oyster bracelet to make it a bit more durable. Right. But I just love the simplicity of this watch. It doesn't say, it doesn't have the red Daytona print on the dial. It's just a classic early example of the watch, but a beautiful dial and just a really sort of clean look to the watch.
And the diameter, these cases are
these are 37 millimeters. So the manual winding Daytonas, whether it was the 6239, the early bumper pusher version, or the screw pusher version, they were a standard 37 millimeter diameter case. The movements were all based on the Valjoux 72, a 17 jaw manual winding mechanism. Okay. This particular one would actually be the 7.
So this wasn't a Rolex manufactured movement?
These weren't. No,
really?
No. But again, I mean, later we had the Zenith Daytona, which relied on the El Primero movement. It wasn't until year 2000 that Rolex came out with the Caliber 4130, which was their own in-house automatic Daytona movement.
Wow, wow.
Well, the next one we're going to go to is this particular one here. So I like symmetry and balance in my collection. The earlier example of the 6265 had the silver dial. I like yin and yang, so I wanted to get the black dial version of the same watch.
Yeah, I think the black dial is super sharp.
It does tend to have a more sporting look to it, and it fitted more in line with my collection, mostly black-faced sports models. So I actually bought this watch. This watch has the red Daytona print above the bottom sub-dial, and of course that sort of slightly upset the apple cart because they make a silver dial version of the same watch, so I had to buy that as well. So here, again, this is another 6265. This one again has the red print above the bottom sub-dial. This is a lovely example. This is a really crisp, clean watch. And you can just see the red print on the dial there.
Very cool.
Little bit out of focus, but
I'll do some close-ups. Everyone will see it very well.
Yeah.
Excellent.
So
and what year was this?
This one is actually going a little bit further on. This is 1978. So we've got like a 5-6 year spread, so 72 to 78.
Okay.
So this really sort of covers the steel bezel.
And these were, sorry for interrupting, but at this time, the Daytonas weren't that popular, is my understanding.
Yeah. As a new watch, these weren't really selling very well from the jewelers. They were quite inexpensive. I've actually got a couple of examples of the catalogue price here. This one is from 1976, where a steel Daytona was priced at £304.
Oh my God! Oh, it's a priceless July 1976. Wow! You wish you could get them at these prices. Oh, that's very cool, Mike.
I mean, even jumping forwards, this one is actually going forward to 1984, February 1984, and a steel Daytona was £674.
Oh my God! Wow, that is so cool.
Now, if you could buy a steel Daytona at this original price today, you'd just be
any Rolex.
Yeah, but at this time they weren't actually popular watches. Again, going back to the first video we did, these watches when we lived in the Middle East, they were all being heavily discounted by the Rolex jewelers.
They couldn't even give them away.
They couldn't sell.
Oh my God! If anyone knew the future, you could have just bought them all, and you'd be living off of that forever.
Well, that's very true. So again, we've sort of touched on the steel bezel versions. I'll probably pick up this one next. This is actually going a little bit further back in time. This is a reference 6239.
6239.
This particular watch is dating to about 1965.
Okay.
The Daytona was probably introduced by Rolex in about 63, so this would be within a couple of years of the first production pieces. This one again has the steel calibrated bezel, but you'll notice that the chronograph pushers, they're a pumper pusher. Unlike the 6265, they don't screw down against the side of the watch case. It's not really a very water-resisting watch, although in the day it was.
For that time.
Yeah, it's waterproof.
It feels very light.
It does. I mean, again, this one has the original spring-link bracelet, so it's quite a lightweight watch. This one actually is the expander bracelet.
Oh, wow.
I'm fortunate I don't have hairy wrists, but
this is original to this?
This is original to the watch, yeah.
Wow, look at that. I didn't realize they did this.
They are a little bit uncomfortable if you've got hairy arms. You end up a bald patch around your wrist.
Oh, that's so cool.
But the main feature with this watch, as I say, is the chronograph is operated by pushers that you don't have to unscrew from the side of the case. I find these a very practical watch to wear nowadays, perhaps in preference to the screw pushers. But again, a very simplistic look and a very understated watch. So following on from the 6239, we probably have to touch on this watch. This is the watch that's sometimes referred to, or commonly referred to as the Paul Newman Daytona. This one has the exotic dial. It's a 3-color dial with a black background. It's got the white subdials with the slightly Art Deco sort of fonts used on the numbering, and then the red minute track around the outside. Referred to as an exotic dial, but it became nicknamed the Paul Newman Daytona. And I've even seen official Rolex documentation which has Paul Newman dial stated on there. Again, it's a pumper pusher. They did make a screw crown version of the same watch, but this is more the iconic watch for sort of relation to the Paul Newman.
And he actually had his own.
He did indeed. Of course, this was the watch that was famously sold.
And I think you told me before that it was recently sold at auction for.
It was actually 8 years ago now, 2017, when it sold for what, $17.75 million. Yeah.
And those versions, if you pick up a quote unquote Paul Newman, what do those go for in the marketplace? Do you have any idea?
Nowadays, I mean, they're starting anywhere from about £100,000 right up into the low millions.
Wow! Wow!
There are some rare gold versions which are now a 7-figure watch. I think they're still pretty much underrated. Controversially, though, it's now believed that there's more Paul Newman dial Daytonas in existence than Rolex ever actually made. We're certainly very much aware of the fact that dials have been fitted into watches, and
right. So be on the lookout. Well, let me ask you this, because you've been doing this for a long time. Could you see?
There isn't really a way of telling. A lot of people, you can actually sort of look back and type in a Rolex serial number into Google or something, and it might actually reveal that the watch has previously been seen at auction with a different configuration dial or something, and then it reappears. There are some very studious collectors out there who really go in depth and look a lot at the history of the Daytona watches, and they have picked up some that have obviously appeared at auction at a later date, wearing a completely different dial to how they were previously seen. But that's a little bit controversial. We'll not get too engrossed in that.
All right, where do we go from here?
Yeah, okay. So referring back to my 6265s with the steel calibrated bezels, they also made one with the acrylic bezel. So this is a reference 6263, and I sort of wanted to balance my collection with having an example of a 6263. So as you can see, this has the tachymeter bezel around the outside in a black acrylic with the calibration set into it, and I think this is probably the most attractive iteration of the Daytona, beyond, say, an exotic Paul Newman dial. But this one really is perfectly balanced. It's a big red Daytona print on the subdial. It's got the silver background, the black subdials, the black bezel, sometimes referred to as a panda dial. And I think this is just the most balanced and most handsome version of the Daytona.
And what year is this?
This one is 1980. And it was still in production.
1980 was a good year.
Okay, I'm not going to ask why. But this is a really beautiful example. All of the little tritium dots on the dial are completely intact. Quite often they actually flake and crumble with age. This is just such a beautiful example. It's almost a little bit of a trophy watch in my collection, I think. But again, mentioning the silver dial, I had to have the black dial version of the same watch. So we've got the same watch there. Again, looking a little bit more sporting with that black background, but again with the big red Daytona print on there. That particular watch is 1979, sometimes referred to as an inverse panda. But again, just a very handsome watch.
Well, I know. Is there? Because I know some folks prefer the white over the black dial. Is there a?
Well, as age is catching up with me, I'm actually just finding the silver dials are more legible. A black dial with small subdials and things like that, and darker hands. It's kind of difficult reading the time on that. So I'm afraid to say that.
Welcome to my world.
Well, yeah. And these watches were in production until the end of the 1980s.
All right, Mike, it looks like we've got one more watch that is ultra shiny. What's going on here?
Yeah, it does kind of stick out like a little bit of a beacon. This is an 18 karat gold Rolex Oyster Cosmograph Daytona.
Okay.
This is the Zenith movement version.
Oh, right.
The Zenith Daytona came out in 1988. It was a modified El Primero movement that Rolex fitted into the first of the automatic Cosmographs.
What year is this?
This one is actually a little bit later. This is 1995.
Okay.
But the first examples came out in 1988. And it incorporated a sapphire crystal glass, and it was a self-winding movement. I have to admit, I bought this watch as a second-hand piece. It's a full-set watch, all in 18 karat gold. It was a UK-supplied watch. And I have to admit that this is the watch I would actually choose. Solid 18 karat gold, it's not for wearing out and about nowadays.
No, but it's absolutely stunning.
It feels great on the wrist. It's a very original example. It's never been polished. Probably would benefit from a movement service, but I don't want to send it back to Rolex and find that some parts are changed on it. So I'll probably just leave it as it is.
It looks pretty good as it is, 100%.
Yeah, I'm quite proud of that. So, as I say, I'm not a Daytona collector, but here we've got 8 watches. I have got the other exotic dial Paul Newman, which is away being serviced with Rolex at the moment. That's the white face version, which was the same as the original Paul Newman watch.
Right.
So I have sort of 9 in the collection, but I'm not a collector of Daytonas.
Well, for being not a collector of Daytonas, you're not doing too shabby.
I suppose not.
All right, Mike. Listen, thanks once again for having us in.
Absolute pleasure, Rob. I hope we can do it again soon.
Well, as I do too, and as the people that are viewing these just can't get enough of these. So thank you very much.
Well, the other thing I was going to suggest was, maybe it's time to go deep diving in with some of the Comex watches. We can perhaps think about that.
Ooh, maybe a Submariner day out or something like that.
Maybe so. All
right, folks.
We can work on something.
We'll keep hope alive. All right, thanks again.
Thanks,
Mike.
Rob.
All right, y'all. That's going to be it for me today. Oh my God, we've got the hugest thank you to our good pal Mike for once again sharing his private Rolex collection with us. Wow. And if you enjoyed this video, be sure and give it a like and subscribe to my channel and leave a comment down below. What are your thoughts on the Daytona? Maybe you got a story to share or a watch to share with us. And be sure and follow me on Instagram. It's Rob the American. That's Rob_the_American. And join me again for some more watch talk. Y'all take good care.